I sat down at my desk like any other Tuesday, ready to dive into the usual flood of emails, when something caught my eye, a small piece of paper, folded neatly, sitting right on top of my keyboard. No one around, no obvious sender lurking in the shadows. I picked it up, curious but a bit wary because, let's be honest, mysterious notes aren't exactly everyday office decor. Unfolding it, I blinked twice. It read, "You make the quiet corners brighter than anyone else here." That sounded oddly personal and weirdly poetic for an office prank. My first thought was someone had mixed up their notes from a poetry class, or maybe a leftover Valentine's Day card. Except it wasn't Valentine's Day, not even close. I glanced around. Jenna was at her desk, pretending to intensely focus on her screen, but actually stealing glances over at me like she was itching to ask a million questions. Mark was 2 rows down, smirking quietly like he was already plotting his next prank. Sarah, the team lead, was busy typing away, furrowed brow and coffee in hand, as serious as ever. No one owned up. I tried to act casual, crumpling the note and tossing it in the bin, but Jenna didn't let it drop. "So," she said, sidling over with that unmistakable mix of curiosity and mischief, "who do you think left that for you?" "I have no idea," I admitted. "Could be Mark, but he's quiet today, which is suspicious in itself." She grinned, eyes gleaming. "Or maybe it's a secret admirer." The plot thickens. I laughed nervously, but inside I wondered, why me? I'm not exactly the office center of attention. I'm the background guy, the one who slides into work, plugs into my projects, keeps my head down. So who would notice me enough to leave me a note that felt like it came from someone who knew the parts of me I usually keep hidden? Anyway, the mystery was planted and it wasn't going away on its own. Most days, my role at the company could be summed up with a simple phrase: background noise. I'm the guy who manages the back-end systems, making sure the tech infrastructure hums along like a well-oiled machine. No grand presentations, no spotlight moments. Just quiet, steady work in an open-plan office filled with the usual buzz of keyboards and occasional heated debate about who's stealing whose lunch from the fridge. Our office is a mixed bag of personalities, but it mostly runs on a vibe of get your work done without annoying everyone else. Jenna, though, she's the outlier, a whirlwind of curiosity wrapped in a bundle of relentless questions. She thrives on poking into the mundane and turning it into something borderline scandalous. If there's a piece of gossip brewing or a secret hiding behind someone's coffee mug, Jenna will sniff it out like a bloodhound. But notes like the one I found on my desk, completely out of the ordinary. Sure, Mark the prankster would occasionally leave post-it notes with his signature ridiculous doodles or terrible puns, but those were obvious jabs at whoever sat near him. This felt different, personal even. And it didn't stop there. By the end of that morning, I found another note tucked inside my coffee mug. It said, "You see the intricate patterns and things most overlook." I stared at it, heart beating a little faster, curiosity bubbling up beneath the usual calm. Who spends their office hours writing cryptic messages about patterns to me? And more importantly, why? Jenna cornered me during the lunch break, practically bouncing with excitement. "This is total detective jackpot material," she whispered conspiratorially as we ate, the rest of the team oblivious nearby. "We have to find out who's behind it. I mean, it's like a riddle wrapped in an enigma, right?" Between bites, I nodded but also felt a flicker of panic. My quiet routine was officially interrupted. I found myself glancing over my shoulder, wondering if Mark was lurking nearby with another sneaky grin. Jenna, naturally, started taking notes on her phone, already drafting Operation Mystery Note plans. "I bet it's some elaborate prank," I muttered. "Mark has this insane history. Remember when he covered our desks in sticky notes? Or that time he switched everyone's mouse buttons around?" Jenna winked at me, nudging my arm. "Exactly. And he's been suspiciously low-key today. Maybe this is his masterpiece." So we decided to keep an eye out together. Our search for clues turned into a kind of comedic scavenger hunt around the office, checking who was near my desk when I wasn't looking, scanning through chat logs and workplace banter with growing amusement. Mark swore up and down he had nothing to do with it, rolling his eyes when Jenna pinched his arm and asked him point blank. Sarah, on the other hand, stayed intensely out of it. She gave us that serious, "you're wasting valuable time's" glare whenever the topic came up during meetings. Then the notes started getting weirder. One afternoon, in the space between code reviews and sprint planning, I found a folded piece of paper beneath my keyboard again. This one said, "Only you and I know the secret project's true weight." My heart did a double take. That was specific. Too specific. The project in question was something Sarah and I had been wrestling with quietly for weeks. Tight deadlines, subtle frustrations, the kind of thing most of the team had no clue about. How could someone else know? I looked up to find Jenna leaning over, peering at the note like it might suddenly reveal its secrets if stared at hard enough. We shared a glance. This wasn't just an office prank anymore. There was something else beneath the surface. The question hanging uncomfortably in the air: how well did anyone really see me here? And how did they know parts of me I barely talk about? For the first time, I wondered if this mystery person wasn't just playing a game. Maybe they were trying to reach out in the strangest way possible, and I was the only one who didn't quite see it coming. The weirdness of those notes sparked what I can only describe as a full-blown mystery adventure in our open-plan office, which, let's be honest, is the last place you expect such cloak-and-dagger antics. Jenna took to the task like a detective on a juicy case phone out, fingers flying, whispering theories at improbable volumes. I was just along for the ride, partly curious and partly wondering if I was about to lose my already modest dignity. Our first insane theory naturally landed on Mark. The guy had a well-earned reputation for pranks that went sideways more often than not. Remember the time he swapped all the keyboard's cable connections so half the team typed in different languages? Classic Mark. But today, his usual raucous laughter was suspiciously muted. We cornered him by the snack table during a lull, pretending to casually chat while probing. "Hey Mark, you feeling less Marky today?" Jenna asked with a sly grin, eyeing him like she was trying to catch a magician red-handed. He laughed, but it was strained. "I swear, not my circus, not my monkeys." Then he shot me a look. "Seriously though, I'm innocent this round. Maybe you've got a secret admirer, Mr. Invisible." His eyes twinkled with mischief, but I wasn't feeling reassured. Over the next few days, the notes only got stranger. One morning, I discovered a folded page nestled inside my lunch container. "You're the calm in storms most wouldn't weather." That one hit home. It felt less like a prank and more like someone was watching me, the not the office's center of attention me, which was bizarre. Jenna and I turned the office upside down, scanning security cameras we weren't technically supposed to touch. Shh. Analyzing Slack messages, and scrutinizing the comings and goings near my desk with the intensity of FBI profilers on Breaking Bad reruns. Each time a note appeared, it was a little more specific, a little harder to ignore. Then came the one that referenced that secret project Sarah and I had been buried under for weeks. I nearly dropped my phone when I read, "Only you and I know the secret project's true weight." My pulse sped up. I had never told anyone else the details, not even Jenna. How could the sender know? Jenna leaned in, eyes wide, whispering, "Okay, now it's personal. This isn't prank territory anymore." I nodded, feeling the weight of the situation shift from puzzling oddity to something borderline eerie. Sarah remained an enigma throughout all this. She didn't seem to notice, or, more likely, didn't want to acknowledge these odd little notes invading the office rhythm. When the subject came up in meetings, her gaze sharpened with that unmistakable get back to work vibe, ending the topic as quickly as it cropped up. One afternoon, Jenna and I staged a full stakeout. We hid behind a tall shelving unit near my desk, armed with coffees and notepads, determined to catch whoever was slipping these notes onto my keyboard or sneaking them into my lunch. Hours passed. Conversations floated by project updates, complaints about the office temperature, someone's endless debate over which coffee blend was superior. At one point, Jenna elbowed me with excitement. "Look, there's Mark by the printers again." We watched him. He was scrolling through his phone, occasionally glancing toward my desk, but nothing suspicious. Just another smooth operator in his natural habitat. I shifted uneasily. Was I chasing shadows? Or was this someone who knew me inside and out, lurking just on the edges of my daily life, attentive to details I didn't even realize I revealed? That night, when I left the office, I found another note tucked inside my backpack pocket. "You're more seen than you think." It was oddly comforting, but also deeply unsettling. Who was watching, and why? The story I had told myself for years that I was just background noise, a quiet cog in the company machine, was unraveling. Maybe, just maybe, someone out there had been noticing all along, but the question remained, would I ever find out who and what did they want from me? The morning light spilled through the blinds like a spotlight. Well, if spotlights were less glamorous and more fluorescent office. As I shuffled toward my desk, prepared for what I expected to be a day of glitch fixes and quiet coding, Jenna popped up beside me, practically buzzing. "All right, the grand reveal," she whispered conspiratorially, waving a crumpled piece of paper. "I have the final note. And you're going to want to hear this." I grabbed the note, heart thumping more from anticipation than fear now. The paper unfurled to show neat, careful handwriting. Sometimes the quietest voice echoes the loudest truths. It hit differently this time. No cryptic puzzles, no teasing riddles, just a statement I couldn't ignore. Jenna's grin was infectious. It's from someone who sees the real you, man, not the background guy. Well, who? I asked, scanning the office like I was about to spot a spy on a stakeout. Jenna pointed toward the far corner where Claire sat, her headset on, fingers flying over her keyboard. Claire, the recent hire from marketing, quiet, always a bit reserved, and honestly someone I'd barely noticed beyond passing haze in the hallway. I hesitated. Claire? The idea seemed so ordinary, yet wildly out of left field after the wild theories we'd tossed around. But Jenna was nodding enthusiastically. She's got this way of observing, you know. Picks up on details no one else does. Then, as if the universe wanted to deliver the coup de grace, Claire looked up and smiled, a small, shy gesture. But it was genuine. She leaned over, voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to let you know I've admired how you handle things. You keep calm when everything's chaos. I guess writing notes felt less awkward than just saying it. I blinked. That was it. The whole mystery wrapped up in one quietly expressed, oddly endearing confession. Looking back, it felt almost sweet, the way someone chooses such a roundabout method to say, hey, I see you. And I respect you. Not creepy, not a prank, just a genuine, if clumsy, nod of appreciation. Our little office world suddenly felt smaller, closer. The tension from the weeks of unanswered questions melted into something warm, like an inside joke shared by people who'd stopped just passing by each other in the hallway. Jenna clapped her hands softly. Mystery solved, though I kind of missed the suspense. Mark popped over, unable to resist joining in. So, I didn't do it. Guess I'm off the hook this time. Sarah, walking by with a stack of printouts, caught the tail end of the conversation. She paused, looked at me with a rare, softer expression and said, sometimes the quiet ones surprise you. At that moment, I realized maybe being background noise wasn't so bad. Sometimes the quietest voice just needed the right moment, and a little note to echo loud enough for the world to hear. And honestly, even if it made my office reputation a little more interesting, I wasn't complaining. The mystery had been fun, but what mattered most was that someone saw me. Not for the quiet guy in the corner, but for the person I was beneath all that stillness. Jenna nudged me as we headed back to our desks. So, mystery note detective, ready for the next case? I laughed, feeling a bit more visible than I had in a long time. Bring it on.